I wasn't supposed to be home that morning. Normally, I'd be out on a job site by 6:45, coffee in hand, boots already caked with dust. But that Thursday, one of the crew trucks broke down, so I stayed back to sort it out. That's the only reason I answered the landline in the kitchen, a phone we barely used anymore. "Hi, is this Mr. Walker?" a young woman asked, polite and rehearsed. "Speaking. This is Angela from Deerfield Lodge. Just a quick check. Do you know if Mrs. Walker will be checking in today? Her reservation says yesterday, but she never arrived." I didn't respond right away, just stared at the wall above the stove like it might have an answer for me. "I'm sorry. What lodge did you say?" "Deerfield, up in Maple Ridge." She was booked for the executive conference retreat through Evergreen Travel. My throat felt dry. "Yeah, right? I'll check in with her. Thanks for calling." She thanked me, then hung up. I stood there for a long minute, the dial tone humming in my ear. Deerfield Lodge. Maple Ridge. That's 2 hours north and not where Sarah said she'd be. She told me the corporate team retreat was being held at a Marriott just outside Eugene. I even helped her pack the night before. Folded sweaters. Her gray laptop case. She left around 7 a.m., gave me a kiss on the cheek, said she wouldn't have great signal out there. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Not yet. Not after 27 years together. We'd been through so much, starting from a rented trailer, scrubbing every penny, raising our son Matt, who's now a mechanical engineer in Ohio. I trusted her. Or maybe I just didn't want to know better. I sat down at the kitchen table, still holding the phone. The wood grain beneath my hand looked sharper, more vivid somehow. It's funny how your senses sharpen when something's wrong. She hadn't answered my text from last night. I told myself she was tired. I believed it because I wanted to. Now I couldn't unhear that woman's voice. I opened my laptop, typed in Deerfield Lodge. Nice place. Rustic. Upscale. Lake views. Private fire pits. More for couples than corporate meetings. My stomach turned. I checked her email account. Sarah wasn't tech-savvy. We'd always shared passwords. I'd never once looked before. Never needed to. Inbox. Evergreen Travel. Subject line. Thank you for choosing Deerfield Lodge. I clicked. There it was. 2 guests. 1 king suite. 3 nights. I stared at the screen until my eyes blurred. I didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't even curse. I just sat there, the same way I've always handled things. Calm. Methodical. That's when I opened a new tab and typed hidden camera hotel room. I had a feeling she wasn't coming back right away. And I had a plan. I didn't go to work that day. Told the guys I had a family thing. Nobody asked questions. They knew better. I drove out to the Home Depot parking lot and just sat there for a while, sipping black coffee from a paper cup that tasted like burnt paper and regret. For the first time in a long time, I really looked at the past year. Sarah had changed, not all at once, not loud, quiet changes. The kind you explain away at first. New earrings that didn't come from anywhere I knew. A bottle of wine open in the evening when I got home late, even though she never used to drink alone. Work trips that weren't on her calendar before. New perfume. A different kind of laugh when her phone lit up. She started locking her phone, too. Said it was for security. I didn't press. I'm not a jealous man. I've always given her space, respected her privacy. That was my mistake. I thought I was protecting the marriage by not asking questions. Turns out, I was just giving her room to lie. I didn't even know what kind of guy she might be with. Some slick city consultant? A younger guy from the office who made her feel seen? One of those burned-out motivational speaker types with a fake spiritual streak? It didn't matter. What mattered was this. She had made a choice. And now I had to make mine. I drove to a little tech shop I'd seen near the strip mall. One of those places that does security systems, phone repairs, even drone rentals. I walked in, and the kid behind the counter looked up from his screen. "You guys sell minicams?" I asked. He grinned like I was asking something shady. "We got 'em. Need something wireless? Motion activated? Something that blends in," I said. "Something that looks like part of the room." He nodded and showed me a few. One in a clock, one in a phone charger, one in a travel toiletry bag. I bought the last one. It looked like something Sarah would carry anyway. He didn't ask why I needed it. Just rang me up and said, "Be careful where you aim it." I didn't smile. That night, I made dinner for one. Stir-fry with too much garlic and not enough care. Max, our old lab, stared up at me from the floor, confused why Mom wasn't home. "She's working," I told him. He blinked, like he knew better. I spent the evening at the kitchen table again, writing things out longhand in my old yellow notebook, things I hadn't admitted even to myself. Every strange behavior, every trip, every lie. I went back 6 months and started plotting her conference dates, cross-checked her calendar against hotel bookings, airline charges, even text times. That's when I saw it. The last weekend in October, she said she was at a friend's spa day. But that same weekend there was a charge from a seafood place in Florence, Oregon for two. And the following Tuesday, a flower delivery showed up at her office. I remember her saying it was from a grateful client. Yeah, sure. I flipped the page and started planning. If she was up at Deerfield Lodge now, I had about 2 days. Enough time to gather what I needed. I booked a room at a motel 20 minutes from the lodge under a different name. Didn't use my credit card. Paid cash. Then I made a list. Pack bag. Bring travel razor. Camera setup. Extra phone. Burner email. Drive up late Friday night. It felt cold. Calculated. But not crazy. This wasn't about catching her in bed with someone. It was about exposing the lie. Quietly. Completely. In a way she couldn't twist. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't even going to confront her when I saw her. Not yet. That would come later. And when it did, she'd never forget it. I didn't sleep much Thursday night. I lay in our bed, on my side, staring at the dark ceiling while Max snored softly at my feet. Her side of the bed was cold, clean, undisturbed. I kept hearing that woman's voice from the phone call, bright and clueless. Will she be checking in? Sarah had never even planned to go to the lodge. The confirmation email said she was already there, but according to the front desk, she hadn't stepped foot on the property, which meant she lied in both directions to them and to me. That wasn't just cheating. That was strategy. By Friday morning, I wasn't sad anymore. I was focused. After breakfast, I walked through the house like I was seeing it for the first time. Every photo on the wall felt like a prop from someone else's life. Our wedding picture, me in my rental tux, her with daisies in her hair, used to make me feel warm. Now I couldn't even look it in the eye. It felt like she was smiling through a mask. I gathered what I needed slowly, methodically. Packed an overnight bag with just the essentials: jeans, black pullover, change of clothes, camera, notebook. I left my regular phone on the kitchen counter. Brought the burner instead. Nothing traceable. No shared location. No digital trail. At noon I called Matt, our son, just to hear his voice. He picked up right away. Hey Dad, everything okay? Yeah, I lied. Just checking in. Wanted to hear how the new job's going. He told me about a project they'd landed, how he was heading out for drinks with some coworkers that night. He asked if Mom and I were still going on that trip in March. I hesitated. We'll see. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I said. Just proud of you. That's all. He laughed a little. Thanks. Love you, Dad. Love you too, son. I hung up and sat there for a long time, staring at the wall, wondering what Matt would think if he knew the truth. If he knew his mom wasn't the person he thought she was. Part of me wanted to shield him from it forever. But another part, the part that couldn't stop shaking, knew the truth had to come out eventually. By 5 p.m., I was on the road. The highway north was quiet, a ribbon of gray cutting through pine trees and patches of melting snow. March in Oregon is funny that way. The sun's out, but the air still bites. I rolled down the window just enough to let the cold in. Kept me awake, focused. I pulled into a gas station just past Oak Ridge and used the restroom to change into darker clothes. Switched phones. Checked the camera. Fully charged. Recording test worked fine. Looked like an ordinary toiletry kit. Blue. A little scuffed, but normal. It would sit just fine on a bathroom counter or dresser. No red lights. No noise. Just a lens no bigger than a pinhead, tucked behind a mesh seam. I arrived at the motel around 8:20 p.m. The guy at the front desk barely looked at me when I checked in. Paid cash. Signed the ledger as William Rivers. No ID required. These roadside places aren't exactly strict. Room 203, second floor. View of the back lot and a sagging wooden fence. No frills. Just a bed, a desk, and a TV that buzzed faintly even when it was off. Perfect. I sat on the edge of the bed and pulled out my notes. I'd already marked out the location of Deerfield Lodge on my map. I even knew which cabin Sarah's reservation was for Cabin 7, Lakeview. The confirmation email had said as much. That night, I didn't sleep. I laid fully clothed on top of the covers, eyes open in the dark, replaying every time she looked me in the face and lied. Every kiss she gave me before one of her work weekends. Every time she came back pretending to be tired from meetings, when she was probably just tired from someone else's bed. She thought I'd never know. She thought I was too old, too slow, too trusting. She was wrong. Tomorrow I would see the truth with my own eyes. And then I'd decide how the story ends. Saturday morning came like a punch in the chest. I hadn't slept more than 20 minutes at a time, and when I did, my dreams were jumbled scenes of Sarah's laugh tangled with the image of a stranger's hand on her waist. I kept waking up thinking I heard her voice, but it was just the heater clicking in the corner. I left the motel around 6:30 a.m., still dark outside. Drove slow, keeping to the back roads. Deerfield Lodge was tucked deep in the woods, one of those get-away-from-everything kind of places: pine trees, cabin paths, silence. The entrance had a little wooden sign and a split-rail fence. No gate, no security, just a gravel road winding into the trees. I parked half a mile up the road and walked in on foot, camera bag slung across my chest like any hiker. No one paid me any mind. I looked like any other weekend loner. The front office sat beside a long, covered porch strung with dim lights. Inside, I could see the woman from the phone, young, cheerful, bored. She wasn't the type to ask questions. I passed by without stopping, nodding politely when our eyes met. She gave me a half smile and went back to her computer. According to the map outside the office, cabin 7 was toward the lake, set a little apart from the others, honeymoon style. No cabins directly next to it, just woods, water, and privacy. Figures. I found a spot along a side trail where I could watch from a distance without being seen. Binoculars in hand, hood up, no movement yet, just the steady curl of chimney smoke and the faint clink of dishes through the window. At 8:14, the front door opened, and there she was, Sarah, my wife, or the woman I thought I knew. She stepped out in a white robe, coffee mug in hand, barefoot on the porch. Her hair was down, not like how she wore it for work. She was smiling, and behind her, shirtless, came him. You know those guys you instantly dislike? He was one of them. Smug face, gym muscles. The kind of guy who always laughs at his own jokes and claps people on the back to heart. Early 40s, I guessed. A little younger than her. No ring, just tense skin and expensive-looking boxers. He kissed her shoulder. She laughed. She leaned into it, and I didn't feel rage. I felt steady. This was the truth. No more guessing. No more wondering if I was paranoid or reading too much into things. She was here, with him, wrapped in mourning like they'd done this a dozen times before. I waited an hour, tracking their routine. They made breakfast together, eggs, toast, some kind of smoothie. She danced to music playing inside. He took a photo of her by the window. She didn't notice. I did. At 10:09, they left the cabin, dressed now, she in jeans and that green sweater she told me she hated. He in a flannel shirt rolled to the elbows like he was about to chop firewood. They held hands. I followed at a distance. They walked the lake trail, stopped at a bench, kissed. That's when I looped around to the cabin. I moved fast, like I'd rehearsed it, because I had, a dozen times in my mind. The cleaning staff wouldn't be by until noon. They didn't lock the back door. Inside, it smelled like cologne and her perfume, mixed together in a way that made my stomach turn. I didn't touch anything, just moved through the cabin with quiet purpose. Bathroom. Perfect. I pulled the toiletry bag from my backpack, opened it, turned on the hidden camera, and placed it right next to her hairbrush and makeup case. Blended in perfectly. It would capture everything from the bedroom to the door. Motion activated. Full audio. Just like that, done. I left without a trace. By the time they returned, I was already back in the trees, watching from afar as she laughed at something he said. Tossed her head back. The same laugh she used to give me, but not anymore. I had what I needed now. Tomorrow, she would come home thinking she got away with it, but the truth would already be waiting for her. I got back to the motel just after noon, the sun bright and sharp through the windshield. My hands didn't stop shaking until I sat on the edge of the bed and exhaled. Not from fear, not even from anger, from control. I'd done it. I'd walked into the lion's den, left the camera, walked out. They had no idea. The feed uploaded wirelessly to the drive I left plugged into my backup phone. The kid at the tech shop had set it up for me. As long as you've got Wi-Fi, he'd said, you'll see everything. And I did. By the time I finished a late lunch from a gas station deli, the camera had already recorded them coming back into the cabin. The footage was sharp. You could see the sun on their faces, the flakes of ash on the hearthrug, the way she looked at him when she thought no one else could see. I didn't watch everything, just enough to confirm it. I'd always wondered how she acted when I wasn't there. Whether she laughed different, touched different, looked different. She did. There was no guilt in her eyes. No hesitation. Just comfort. That was what hit hardest. Not the kissing. Not the hands. The comfort. Like this wasn't a mistake, but a life she'd already started building. One that didn't include me. I spent the rest of the afternoon making sure everything was set. I checked our bank account. Moved my direct deposits to a private one I'd opened 2 weeks prior, just in case. I'd already spoken with a lawyer friend on a hypothetical basis last month. I scheduled an official meeting for Tuesday. That left the house. I drove home that night. Same way I came, as slow, careful, and visible. Max greeted me at the door like he hadn't seen me in a week, tail thumping like a drum. I knelt down and scratched behind his ears, whispering, "Hey buddy, we're almost there." I packed up everything important. Files, birth certificates, backup hard drive, my tools, the good ones, not the ones I lend out to neighbors. Photo albums, but only the ones that mattered to me. Not a single picture of Sarah came with me. I moved it all into a small storage unit I'd rented under my brother's name. Clean, simple, quiet. By Sunday morning, the house was spotless. My clothes were gone. My office empty. My wedding ring sat on the bathroom counter next to her favorite bottle of perfume. I left a note. Just a single line, written in pen, no signature. Check the bedroom drawer. Inside the drawer was a flash drive, the same one where I saved a copy of the footage. At 11:42 a.m. Sunday, her car pulled into the driveway. I didn't watch her go inside. I didn't need to. I was already 2 towns over, sitting at a diner counter, sipping coffee and watching a Little League game on the muted TV. I imagined her calling my name through the house, maybe a little too cheerfully at first, maybe pretending everything was normal. Then she'd see my side of the closet, empty. The office, cleared. My boots gone from the mudroom. No jacket by the door. The silence would creep in. Then she'd go to the bedroom. She'd see the note. And then the drawer. And then the truth. I imagined her face as the footage played, her with him, laughing, touching, lying. I hoped it played slowly. I hoped she sat through every minute. I hoped it burned. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I wanted her to see, without question, that I knew. And I didn't just know. I planned for it. That was the difference. She betrayed in secret. I responded in daylight. She took me for a fool. And I let her, until I didn't. By the time Sarah got home and saw what I'd left her, I was already gone. Not just physically, but emotionally. The part of me that would have begged, argued, or even cried, that part didn't live in me anymore. I was calm now. Cold, maybe, but clear. I didn't block her number. I didn't want to give her that excuse. Let her say she tried to reach me. Let her feel the weight of unanswered messages. At 12:12 p.m., the first one came through. Sarah, where are you? What is this? At 12:28, another. Sarah, we need to talk, please. I don't know what you think you saw, but it's not what it looks like. I almost laughed at that one. Not what it looks like. The classic script. As if a camera lens could lie. As if I'd somehow misunderstood her mouth on another man's neck. As if I was the fool she always assumed I was. I didn't reply. By 1:03 p.m., the tone shifted. Sarah, you had no right to spy on me. This is insane. You're acting crazy. There it was. Blame. I guess when guilt doesn't work, gaslighting is the next move. Still, I said nothing. I checked the security system from my phone. She was walking through the house like a ghost, pacing the hallway, back and forth, checking rooms. Probably hoping I'd left a clue. A hole she could crawl through. A weak spot to exploit. There wasn't one. She sent 5 more messages that afternoon. One of them was a voicemail. I didn't listen. Just saved it to a folder called Evidence. At 4:52 p.m., she finally sent what I'd been waiting for. Sarah, Dan, I made a mistake. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I hurt you. Just a mistake. Like she dropped a glass or missed a meeting. But even then, I felt nothing. Because the truth was, this didn't start at the lodge. It started long before that. In the months of distance. The smirks at her phone. The locked screen. The business trips that didn't line up. The way she looked at me like I was holding her back. And now, for the first time, I held the power. I spent Sunday night at my friend Craig's cabin just outside Sisters. He owed me a favor from years back. Helped him out of a licensing mess with his contracting business. He left the key under the porch and stocked the fridge with beer and sandwich meat. I didn't tell him the whole story. Just said Sarah and I were taking space. He gave me a look that said he understood more than I said out loud. The cabin was quiet, peaceful. No reminders. No photos. No memory of her laugh bleeding through the walls. That night, I stood outside in the cold and watched the stars. The same sky we used to lie under on camping trips back when we were young, broke, and still honest with each other. I remember her once saying, "Don't ever lie to me. I don't care what the truth is, just don't lie." I guess that was just for show, too. I felt my phone buzz in my pocket. Another text. Sarah, please, Dan. I don't want to lose everything. I stared at the words. Thought about our 27 years. The house we built. The dog. The memories. Then I thought about Cabin 7. The robe. The kisses. The laughs. And I knew something for sure. I had already lost everything the moment she let someone else hold her the way I used to. I turned off the phone and went inside. Tomorrow, I'd file the papers. I already had the lawyer on standby. Everything was documented. Every charge on the card. Every hotel receipt. Every message. She thought I'd scream, rage, maybe even fight to win her back. But the worst thing you can do to someone who craves control? Take it away silently. Let her live in the echo. Let her sit in the house she betrayed me in and wonder what I'd do next. Monday morning, I filed for divorce. The lawyer didn't flinch when I handed over the folder labeled documentation. Inside were printed emails, credit card statements, GPS logs, even still images from the camera footage. She flipped through them in silence. then nodded like a doctor looking at a patient's x-ray before surgery. "This'll move fast," she said, "especially if she tries to deny anything." "She will," I replied. At first, the paperwork was simple. Oregon's a no-fault state. No need to prove adultery for divorce. But it sure as hell helps when it comes to dividing assets. And she didn't know how thorough I'd been. I'd transferred my savings, the stocks, and the deed to our property into a trust with my son Matt listed as beneficiary. Sarah would still get her fair share, just not from my half. But it wasn't enough for me to walk away clean. She had lied to my face, in my bed, under my roof. She had to feel what I felt, exposed, powerless, humiliated, and I knew exactly how to do it. The next morning, I sent out an invitation. Well, several. Using an old email I kept for personal contacts, one Sarah never had access to. I crafted a digital invite to what I called Dan and Sarah's spring celebration. The location? Deerfield Lodge. The time? 1 week from the date of her betrayal. I booked the same cabin, same weekend, same staff. I invited family, close friends, a few of her colleagues, even our son Matt. I told them it was a late anniversary party, casual, private. Come celebrate with us. Bring a guest, food and drinks provided. I knew Sarah would be furious when she found out that I'd used her little escape nest as the site of her own unveiling. But by the time she heard about it, it'd be too late. Because I wasn't just planning a confrontation. I was giving her a gift she gave to me first, a moment she'd never forget. That Friday, I returned to the lodge. Cabin 7 looked the same, smelled the same, but now it belonged to me. The staff greeted me warmly. They had no idea what had happened there the week before. No reason to question why the same couple would return 2 weekends in a row. I unpacked carefully, set everything in place. The footage was ready, edited, timed, and loaded onto a discreet thumb drive labeled Weekend Memories. The party was scheduled for Saturday at noon. The weather forecast said sun and clear skies. Perfect. At 11:37 a.m., the guests began arriving. My brother showed up first, then Matt, then a couple neighbors and friends from Sarah's work. She didn't arrive until 12:04, pulling up in her car with sunglasses on and her expression tight. She hadn't responded to a single message since Monday. Probably thought the invite was a mistake. Or maybe she thought I was trying to reconcile. Maybe part of her even hoped. I greeted her with a warm smile. "Glad you could make it," I said. She opened her mouth, probably to protest or demand answers. But then Matt appeared behind me, hugging her. "Hey Mom," he said. "This is kinda cool, huh?" She forced a smile. "Yeah, cool." I let everyone inside. Music played low, food on the counter, drinks in the fridge. It looked like a celebration. At exactly 12:15, I tapped my glass. "Hey everyone," I said. "Thanks for coming. I wanted to show you something real quick. A little highlight reel from our time here last weekend. Thought it might be fun." Sarah froze. Her hand clutched her wine glass a little too tight. I turned to the TV, plugged in the flash drive, and hit play. It wasn't explicit. I made sure of that. Just enough to make the point clear. There she was in this very room, laughing, cuddling, dancing in that green sweater. And there he was, arm around her waist, mouth on her neck. The conference, lie in full color. You could have heard a pin drop. Her face drained of color. Matt turned to look at her, wide-eyed. Someone in the back gasped. I didn't say a word. I just let it roll. And for the first time, Sarah didn't have anything to say either. Sarah didn't speak. Not at first. She just stood there, frozen, wine glass still clutched in her hand like it was the only thing tethering her to the room. The video rolled on behind her, playing scenes that no wife ever expects her husband, or her son, to see. She looked around the room like a drowning woman scanning for a life raft, but there were none. Our guests stood in stunned silence, some covering their mouths, some staring at the floor, others looking directly at her, waiting, watching, judging. Matt stepped back slowly, his expression unreadable. His mouth opened once, as if to say something, then shut again. His eyes moved from the screen to his mother, then to me. That broke her. "Dan," she said, voice trembling. "What is this? What the hell is this?" She tried to sound angry, indignant, but it cracked halfway through. Her voice betrayed her before I had to. I stayed calm, unmoved. "I figured everyone deserved the truth," I said simply. "Especially the people who loved you the most." "You had no right," she started. "No, I could in. Just once." My tone wasn't loud, but it was final. "You lied to me. To all of us." "For how long, Sarah? Months? A year?" She glanced toward Matt, who still hadn't said a word. It's not what it looks like," she whispered. "You said that in a text, too," I replied, and then again in a voicemail. "And for the record, it's exactly what it looks like." Her eyes darted around the room again, searching for some sympathetic face, but all she found were hard stares, folded arms, and a silence that felt heavier than shouting. Her coworker Linda looked like she might vomit. My brother's wife, Karen, shook her head slowly and muttered, "Unbelievable." Sarah stepped toward me, her tone suddenly softer. "Dan, please, can we talk alone?" "No," I said. "We're done talking." I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the envelope. Thick, neatly labeled. I handed it to her. "What's this?" "Divorce papers," I said. "Already filed. My attorney will be in touch. Everything's documented. Everything's prepared. I don't owe you a damn thing." She didn't open it, just stared at it like it might burn her hands. "Matt," she turned toward our son, her voice almost breaking. "I swear, I didn't mean to hurt anyone. You have to believe me." He looked at her for a long, cold second, then said something that made the entire room go quiet again. "You didn't just cheat on Dad," he said. "You cheated on all of us." Sarah's face crumpled, but it was too late. I turned off the TV, picked up my coat, looked one last time at the woman I used to know. "You could have just told me you were unhappy," I said, "but you chose lies. So now you can live in them." And then I walked out. I don't remember much of the drive back. I just remember the feel of the steering wheel under my fingers, the soft hum of the road, and the strange lightness in my chest, like something had been pulled out that was rotting me from the inside. I checked my phone when I stopped for gas. 13 missed calls. 7 voicemails. All from her. I didn't listen to a single one. I deleted them all with the same hand she used to hold. Back home, the house was quiet. Max greeted me with that wagging tail like nothing had changed. But everything had. Sarah wasn't coming back. Not to this house. Not to me. Not to the life she threw away one weekend in a cabin. Her things were still here, but not for long. I'd already arranged to have them boxed and sent to her sisters. Let her explain why. She'd spend the next few weeks trying to rewrite the story, telling friends I ambushed her, that I was cruel, that I blindsided her. But the footage didn't lie, and neither did I. I just let the truth do what it does best, burn away everything fake. Sarah didn't go down screaming. She went down stumbling, scrambling for control, trying to salvage something from the wreckage she caused. By Monday morning, the video had made the rounds. I didn't post it online. I'm not that kind of man. But a few people asked me for a copy after the party. People close to her. People who believed in her, defended her, or in some cases, warned me years ago that something felt off. Turns out, the truth doesn't need a bullhorn. It just needs oxygen. And once it's out, it spreads on its own. By Wednesday, she was out of the house for good. I wasn't there when she came to collect her things. I'd arranged for a friend of mine, a quiet guy named Roy who owns a moving company, to supervise her clothes, her keepsakes, whatever pictures she wanted, all boxed neatly. No yelling, no drama. Roy told me she cried when she walked through the empty house. Said she stood in our bedroom and whispered something like, "He really left." Yes, Sarah, I really did. She tried to reach out, of course. Texts, calls, even a long email titled Closure. I didn't read it. She asked mutual friends to talk to me. She even had the nerve to show up at Matt's place, uninvited. That was her biggest mistake, because Matt, God bless him, didn't crumble. He didn't console. He didn't give her the sun-shaped shoulder she probably expected. He told her to leave. He said, "You used to tell me men had to own their choices. Well, now it's your turn." After that, she stopped trying, at least directly. But the consequences didn't stop with me. 2 weeks after the lodge reveal, she got a formal notice from her company's HR department. Turns out, her retreat overlapped with a critical audit review she was supposed to be attending, one that her assistant ended up covering for and screwing up. I don't know who tipped them off. Maybe no one had to. Maybe it was just a matter of time. They demoted her, officially for conduct misalignment with leadership expectations. Unofficially, everyone knew. Word gets around. Her title was stripped, her team reassigned, her bonuses gone. She went from managing a department to managing spreadsheets. Alone. And the man she risked it all for? Gone. From what I heard, he ghosted her 3 days after the fallout. Probably didn't like his face on someone else's TV screen. His wife found out too. Someone recognized him in the video. Filed for divorce in under a week. I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. Sarah had always thought she was the smartest one in the room, the one who could control the story. But when everything fell apart, she didn't just lose me. She lost the house, her reputation, her lover, and the one person she never thought she'd lose, our son. I ran into her once, about a month after everything came out. It was at the grocery store, of all places. She looked smaller than I remembered, hair tied back, no makeup, sweater too loose like it didn't quite fit. Her eyes darted when she saw me. She didn't expect to run into the man she'd betrayed while picking out almond milk. I just nodded and kept walking. She stood frozen by the apples, holding a shopping basket with one hand and her past with the other. That was the real punishment, not the divorce, not the video. The silence. She couldn't argue with it, couldn't outsmart it, couldn't twist it around like she used to. I was done talking, and for once, she was the one left with all the unanswered questions.